Hey everybody, welcome to the Division I meeting. We're glad you're here. It's November already. Chilled air. Can you believe the temperature this morning? Wow. I think definitely fall, if not winter, is almost here. This morning at my house it was 31. I don't know what you guys had at your place, but it was below freezing this morning at our house. So there was definitely frost on the pumpkin, as they say. I want to welcome everybody. We've got some new faces here today. Bill, would you stand up and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name's Bill Cruz. I just moved in Texas in January into Rutherford. Originally from Chicago. Spent 5 years in Florida and then moved here. Thought it would be cooler. Guess I'm an mistake.
Yeah, we tried to greet you with that this morning. Okay. What railroad do you model, Bill?
I just started an HO gauge. 40 years ago, I had done an N gauge, and of course, all through my life, I've been moving, changing jobs, to never get it started again. So finally, I've been able to now. Wife said, "Okay, take that room and go ahead and do it." So I just started.
At my house, that's the supervisor of real estate.
Yeah.
I thought it was the VP of real estate.
VP of real estate. Yeah, really.
Bill, today was winter. Tomorrow we'll start summer.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Hope you enjoyed it. Okay.
Thank you.
But you didn't tell me what railroad, or do you have a particular
I
railroad?
don't have a particular one.
Okay. All right. Any other new members or guests or people that hadn't been here in a while? Raise your hands, please. Yes, Mike.
We'll introduce Tom Murnane.
Hey, Tom. Go ahead, stand up.
From Bethesda.
Originally, but he's been here for many years.
Okay.
He came to our O-scale meeting a couple of weeks ago and was reborn.
Okay, good. All right. And you do 2-rail or 3-rail O-scale?
3-rail O gauge.
Okay.
Trying to get back into it. I did a lot when I was little, but
Right.
got busy with career, 3 boys, raising them.
I understand that.
I'm still working full time, so I'm just trying to ease back into it.
Okay. And again, it was Tim. Is that right?
Tom.
Tom. Okay.
Tom Renee, yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Glad you're here. Okay. Are you a member of the NMRA or just?
I did join recently.
Wonderful. That's great. All right. So that's one more to our roster. That's great. We keep trying to build our membership. So we're on a decline for a few months, but with new members like Tom, we sure appreciate it. Yes, sir. David.
No, I just want to know where you
Oh, and where do you live?
are. Here in Fort Worth.
I mean, Benbrook. I mean,
Let's see.
It's like 4 houses from me.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah. That's. Oh, you're in the high rent district. Okay, I got it. All right. Guys, if you've never been to Mike Walters' layout, you need to try to schedule a visit. It's amazing. He's got a beautiful 2-rail O-scale layout, and it's absolutely beautiful. Clarence, we've got plenty of chairs right up here. Come on up.
I'm not ready to sit yet.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, sir.
And guys, before you start grabbing other chairs off the back, let's fill up here, Cole. We got plenty of places to sit up here. All right, because I can single you out. I can single you out, and I know I can, so I do. All right.
That's our religion.
That's it. You're an easy target. Okay. All right.
Camo's not working.
The camo's not working. I can still see you. That's right. Oh, that's fun. All right. So I want to extend our appreciation to the Texas Western for letting us meet here, as they always do. We've got a very good relationship between the division and the club. At this time, Cole has gone full camo. If you guys want to turn around and look at this.
He just blends right in, doesn't he?
That's it. So one of our cameramen needs to take a picture of that and put it on the video. All right. There we go. I think we've got one of our cameramen's going to swing around and take that picture for us.
I want to put it on the website.
David, maybe you can put it up on our video and make sure that gets dropped in there so everybody will know what we're talking about. And I need to see what's going on with our group up here, if you don't mind. And the gallery is not up. I'm still seeing 4014.
Yeah, we got the gallery. The gallery's back here.
The gallery's back there. It's just not up here. Ah, here we go. It's coming up now. There we are. All right. So Cole has now gone out of full camo, but that's okay. All right. By the way, we want to thank all the guys and visitors we've got on Zoom that have joined us. We've got Don Hummel. Hey, Don, how are you doing? I'm glad you got the link. We communicated last night about midnight to make sure you were here. That's great. Bob Mangrum, Steve McGrath, Chris Mahan. I talked to Chris. Chris had a tough day yesterday. Tried to do a little bit too much. He was going to try to be here today, but unfortunately, he had to take a few extra pain meds to get through the day and through the night. So, Chris, we're wishing you the best, buddy. All right. Can't wait till you're back over here
Well,
again.
dental surgery and pain pills too, so.
I'm sorry, say again? I'm sorry, we missed whoever said that. Okay, all right. We will move on, all right? I want to give the floor to David Crumpton. I was saying David Crampton. I was trying to get my gallery back up here. It's still gone again. Mr. Crumpton.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Crumpton is the president of the Texas Western. I always like to give him a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Mike. First of all, it's so good to see a room full of people. This is great. This is great. For the two new gentlemen that are with us today, welcome to the Texas Western Model Railroad Club. We have memberships available. The guy that you saw when you came in with the white beard, his name is Trapper. He is our CAO in our club. So after this meeting, if you're interested in knowing more about what we do, he can fill you in as well as give you any paperwork if you're interested in looking at a trial membership to see if it fits your needs. We have memberships available. Don't get out of here today without taking a little tour around the layout and ask questions about what we're doing and what we're trying to model. After the meeting today, if you can help us for just a few minutes, we want to set up some tables. We're having our Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So if you can hang around for just a few minutes and set up maybe 6 or 8 tables and put in some chairs, that would sure give us a head start on tonight. So if you don't mind, we would love to have you help us. Also, big news. We're going to have our first ever open house in this location on December the 17th. So the city of Forest Hill is, in Kennedale and surrounding areas, is our main focus because a lot of people drive by here, they see lights flashing out front, but they really don't know what this is. So we have been talking to the city of Forest Hill so that we can invite them in as well as surrounding community and you too to come to our open house on December the 17th. It's from 1 o'clock to 6 p.m. So we're going to have some things really cleaned up in here and ready for that open house. Special guest appearance by Santa Claus. So if you have grandchildren that would like to see Santa Claus, we got a good one. We got the real Santa Claus. So he is awesome, awesome. Along with that, we're encouraging anybody that comes, bring an unwrapped toy. And we're going to have our Christmas tree set up right here so people can give us, doesn't have to be expensive, any kind of toy. We're going to give those toys to the city of Forest Hill firefighters and police units so they can in turn distribute them in the community to better foster relationships with the community, and also they know where the need is. So if you can come on December the 17th, 1 o'clock to 6 p.m., we'd love to see you, and thank you for your help. We appreciate you being here. Yes, Dick?
Are you gonna have trains running?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We're gonna have
grandkids like trains
Oh,
running.
yeah. We're going to have at least 4 trains running. Clarence, our COO, is coordinating the running of the trains that day. I know we've got at least 4 trains that are going, we could put more on there than that, but we don't want to have any wrecks on the layout. But we're going to have at least a couple of Christmas trains that guys are bringing. So it should be a lot of fun. And so bring the kids and see some trains and have some fun. and see Santa Claus. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Is the crossing lights flashing right now?
No. Yes.
They are? Okay, great. Did you just turn them on, Jay? I saw you walk over there. I thought you and I were on the same wavelength. I thought it in my head and asked you to do it, so you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Our condolences.
And what about this evening? Is Thanksgiving open to uninvited guests?
It's mainly for club members and
Club
their
members?
families.
Okay, club members and families. Okay, that's what I wanted to find out. I don't know if you have received your electronic. I know you've received your electronic version. I don't know if you've received your printed copy yet of the NMRA magazine. However, Mr. Packer is front and center in the NMRA magazine from Division One in an article about his layout. Congratulations, Mr. Packer. We are still working to alleviate problems with our communication tool. I received several contacts from different people within the division and outside the division that they did not receive our communication that went out yesterday between 3 and 4. I think it was 3:26 p.m. yesterday is when the reminder for the meeting went out. I would like to express this to you. First off, the meeting happens every month, second Saturday of the month at 10 o'clock every month. And right now, for the last, I don't know how many years it's been right here. And I don't think that's subject to change unless the Texas Western is saying no.
No, we're
fully
open for
committed
this.
and happy.
Betcha.
All right, so is the division. Yes, sir.
Happens here at 10 o'clock every second Saturday except next month.
Except for Christmas. That's correct. That's the only time that we don't meet here on the second Saturday, but it's still the second Saturday. Okay? We just changed the time and location because next month, we'll feed into that in just a minute, is our Christmas party. We're going to talk about that. But if you have a question and you don't get the communication, there are several things you can do. You can go to the division website, okay? And it is there on the division website, cowcatcherdivision.org. And every single month it talks about that. Mr. Gratke is our webmaster, and he makes sure that the division is notified through the website, okay? So that is there. You don't have to worry about it. If you don't get the email reminder, because that's all it is, it's a reminder that about the meeting. So it's there, okay? Also, just remember or put it in your phone, in your calendar. Second Saturday, 10 a.m. right here, division meeting, all right? Now, we are actively working on trying to clean up and get our communication tool as accurate as possible. We're going to get that done. Don't worry about it. But if we fail to get that to your satisfaction, we're working on it and we'll get there. It'll happen in short order. So thank you very much for your patience. Christmas party next month. We will have our Christmas party. It will be at the the Forest Hill Community Center and Convention Center over on Wichita. It's a block west of here, or block and a half west of here on Wichita. What? Okay, whatever. It's still a block. Okay? Yeah. It's a long block, but it's a block. Okay.
Next exit.
Yeah. So we are inviting anybody and everybody to come to our Christmas party. Yep. We're already here. An alarm happened. All right. So come to the Christmas party. Everybody's invited. Bring your significant other. Bring your kids. Okay. The Christmas party we're going to start at 6:30. We would ask that, and Trapper is going to send out a Evite like we do every year, where you can log on to the Evite website through the link that you'll get in an email. Click on it, You'll go to the Evite website where you can sign up for what food you're going to bring to the potluck dinner. The division buys Greenberg smoked turkey and a ham. So that's already covered. What we need is vegetables. We need desserts, and somebody can bring ice and napkins, plasticware, that kind of stuff. So if you would sign up for that and come to the Christmas party. Also, we will have a gift exchange of $25, somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay, don't be chinchy. 25 is easy. And I will also tell you a quick secret that I share with everybody. Okay, if you go to Hobby Lobby right now, they've got their Christmas stuff already half price. Yep. And you can get a $50 present for 25 bucks. And you look like a champ by doing that, okay? Because everybody's going, wow, look at that, They really spent, I only spent exactly what we were talking about, 25 bucks. So go to Hobby Lobby, pick out something really nice. They have train stuff too, so you can put that in there. Bring that to the party. We will have door prizes that we're working on. And I do know of one prize that we're giving away is tickets on the Cumbres and Toltec.
Wow.
So, yeah. Come on in, sir. Come on in, guys. Hey, look who's here. Good to have you. We got some chairs right in the middle. Come fill in the slots. Yeah. Those chairs went early. Okay. All right. I have some news that I need to share with you guys. It's been a good run, but because of my election to Western District Director, I checked into this situation several years ago to get verification as to whether or not I could hold the office of Division Director and Western District Director, or at the time it was North American Director at Large, simultaneously. And I got information saying that there was not a conflict. The first time I got information, it says it was a conflict. Before I ran for Western District Director, I was told it was not a conflict. It has come now to a clarification that it is a conflict. So unfortunately, today will be the last day that I'm going to be the director of Division 1 of the Lone Star region. So effective today at 3 p.m., I've submitted my resignation. It has been accepted. And so that is taken care of. But at this time, our regional president has asked me to open the floor for anybody who would care to fulfill the unexpired term of Division Director for Division 1. Yes, sir.
Before you do that,
Yes, sir.
this is unsolicited. Mike didn't know I was going to do this, but I feel like I got to. I joined the Texas Western and NMRA in August of 2018. I understand that before that, in years past, this organization probably would have struggled to have 10 or 12 people come to a meeting.
Yeah, most.
So what I saw when I came in was about what we're seeing here, maybe not quite this many. And I just want to take a minute to recognize Mike. I think he has brought,
Thank you.
He has brought this division from struggling to vibrant and one of the largest divisions in NMRA. So on behalf of these guys that are sitting here, Mike, and the people that are on the call, I want to thank him for the leadership that he's provided, the hard work that he's put in, for the many hours of planning and thought and preparation to make this be what it is today. So I think we would be remiss if we didn't say a big thank you and a big round of applause for Mike for what he's done.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I will also say that for whoever steps into the role of Division Director, I offer my complete support. I offer whatever job you would like for me to fulfill. And if there's any way at all that I can be helpful to the division moving forward, it's absolutely going to be there. This is my baby. I've watched it grow. It's been a fantastic journey, and we've put together a team that is functioning like a Swiss watch. Everybody knows their job. Everybody does their job, and you've made it very easy for me to be a division director, and I appreciate everybody's support. There's no way that a leader can be a leader if there's not people following. And you guys have done everything that I've asked when I've called upon you. You've been there. And there's no way that I could have accomplished the things that we have accomplished without the support of every single one of you sitting here, and some of you who have not, or not sitting here, but throughout the time that I've been in this position have helped. So I want to thank all of you very much. So I owe you a round of applause. As the original question was, would anybody be interested in fulfilling, and what the procedure is this. For those who step forward, I will submit their name back to Donna Orr, who's the regional president. There will be a short interview process where she will talk to you. If there is more than one person, then there will be an election, and it will be decided by the board of directors of the LSR as to who will be the new division director for the Division 1. If there's only one candidate, then the LSR board would ratify that person, and they would then fulfill the unexpired term. I would offer that whoever steps forward, it would probably be a good idea that between now and November 30th, you submit your name to be on the ballot for the upcoming elections for Division 1 for next year, which that my unexpired term ends in May of next year. So you would take office after the election that happens in March. You would take office in May and serve for a 2-year period. Okay, and that's the term on that. So is anybody interested in putting their name forward to be the division director for Division 1? John Garfield. All right.
You get AP points.
You do get AP points. Anybody else? Dick Brannon. Okay. Thank you, Dick.
Come on, David, step up.
Trapper was waving back there.
I hear. Did I hear Trapper's voice? I did not hear Trapper. Okay, all right.
I think he was going, not me, not me.
All right. Okay, so I will submit these two names to Donna. Expect her to reach out to you, and we'll go from there and go through the process. Thank you both. I appreciate it, gentlemen. And we'll go from there. And yes,
You've set it up very nicely for us to continue.
you're very welcome.
I found some keys on back here. Anybody belong to these keys?
Got a new rapper.
We've got David. David is raising his hands and claiming them. Although I can claim them because I need a new vehicle. So,
Is yours?
yes, sir. Thank you. Now we come to Q&A and show and tell. I want to show and tell. I'm going to a shameless plug. Mr. Packer came up to me a little while ago. He goes, I was looking at the list of layouts that are listed on the 23 convention, and yours isn't listed. It was not listed because I was at the time going to be doing an awful lot of other stuff on the convention. Mike Ross has asked me if I will be on the layout tour, and I have committed to do that. which was not in the original plan, but I will do that. I'm also going to have an operating session at my layout, which several of you have been invited to some shakedown operating sessions on my layout. And I'm cleaning that up right now, because if somebody from outside our division or wherever, or for that matter, anybody ever comes to my layout, I want it to run flawlessly. I don't want it to be any problems. So I appreciate those of you who are coming to help me find those problems and get them fixed long before the next convention and operating sessions, because we're working through a lot of that stuff. So anyway, show and tell. If anybody would like to, yes, sir?
May I have the floor before we start that?
Sure. Mr. Leising.
Folks, as you will recall, 3 years ago, Mike talked to us about getting involved in the NMRA convention. One of the reasons was to help boost the treasury of the division. Indeed, a true fact. And with that said, we need the support of everybody to help generate registrations for next year's NMRA National Convention. Cody and Casey are distributing business cards that you in turn can share with your friends, family, people at your railroad club, people at church, anybody that has an interest in attending the convention. Please put them in your billfold. Somebody wants information about the convention, there's the dates, the location, and our website. On the flip side of the card is information about our division. So in the interest of generating more membership and participation for our division, it has a dual purpose. Okay? I have plenty of these cards. If you need more than the few that Cody and Casey are handing out, please let me know. Please help spread the word. Please help support the NMRA and the Cowcatcher Division. Thank you.
Y'all good down there?
What is going to be the requirement for NMRA membership to attend the convention once you give them the card?
If they sign up as a non-member, their rate goes up for enough to where it's going to
They
offset.
need to understand that.
Yeah, there's a non-member rate and there's a member rate. Okay, so the non-member rate takes care of a
But
temporary
that's the
membership.
question that people are gonna get every time they give this card. to
Sure.
somebody.
But they just sign up as a non-member. Anyway, yes, sir. Ken? You can look at that on the convention website. Look at that on the convention website. Okay? All right. So back to where we were, okay? If anybody on the show and tell wants to come and see my layout at any time, okay? If you'll just let me know, my door is always open. I love to share my layout with folks and let anybody come over and look at it. It's under construction, but it's got a lot of it is already under what I would call the completed stage, although as Mr. Packer will tell you, it's never done. All right. So I'm working on it to try to get it to a much more presentable phase. So if anybody wants to come see the layout, just let me know. Pick up the phone. Like I say, I'm open and my door is always ready for you. So anyway, all right. Show and tell. Show and tell. Dick Brandon, I know you've got show and tell. Please join us.
Okay, so you guys, most of you who model an HO probably recognize the basic model here. This is a New River Coal Company, mining company. And I made some modifications to it that I was pretty pleased with. The kit comes with a catwalk across the back here. And I ended up putting a tissue catwalk all the way around the building and installing a door in the front of it.
Can you hold it a little higher, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I also added a fire escape ladder on the interior section of it here to give the operators access to that door, so they could get down to the cars. I also added a lot of roof detail, some air conditioning, or not air conditioning, but, well, they're HVAC ducts, but it's basically ventilation piping and ventilation ducts on the outside of the model.
I like the windows being open.
Yeah, and the other thing I did is, when Walter sends you or includes the windows in this kit, there's a heavy border around the window, which allows you to glue it to the face of the kit, to the inside of it. I ended up cutting all that off so that I could open the windows up. And I like the look of that with those windows being open too. It's fully lit with Just Plug system lights. And in one section that is visible from the aisle of the layout, there is an interior into it. And that area is lit up. So when it's up and when it's installed, you'll be able to see some activity in the unit or in the building.
So Dick, what is your base color and what did you do to weather it?
Base color is from a rattle can. It's just a camo green from a rattle can. And I weathered it with AK pencils and Bragdon powders. And Mike looked at this and he pointed out something to me that I think I instinctively did, but I tried to keep the weathering down below the eaves just a little bit so that, because in a real building that usually doesn't get as dirty as the wall. That section doesn't get as dirty as the lower walls. So I also added some, what do you call those things? Canopies, whatever, over the awnings over the doorway, and I used Campbell shingles to make that on a sheet of plastic. So
Looks good, Dick.
thank you.
Very good.
Very good.
I visited Dick's layout a week and a half ago. And I saw this building and I said, you need to bring that to show and tell. Oh, no, I'm not gonna do that. I think it measures up. I hope you do the same, and please pass along your appreciation to Dick for bringing it up here. Somebody else got something over here. What is this over here and who brought it?
That is me.
Who is me? In the back. Okay. Casey, come tell us about it.
As far away as I could possibly be.
Yep.
Come on down, the price is right. We have, my brother and I, well, mostly me, but brother's been helping, have been working on a half-inch scale, fine scale model of a Denver Rio Grande Western C25. I have been teaching myself, well, I was going to hold it up so people could see it, the manual mill. So all of this started out as sheet, strip, stock, with the exception of the screws. The screws we bought commercially.
Cheater.
Yeah.
I don't have that much time in my life. But there. So if anybody has access to mill and lathe, and you don't really know what you're doing, like me, there's a guy on YouTube. His name is Joe Piezinski. I think he's from Austin, Texas. He has hundreds of hours of videos that will teach you how to do the things you want to do on a mill. He's been doing stuff for, I guess, space programs, stuff like that. He is very, very, very well versed in manual machine tools. It is worth looking at if you've got any interest in trying to learn that hobby. It's never too late. But yes, I don't even know how many hours I have in this, but it's a lot more than I'd like to admit, because I'm learning, not because I know what I'm doing. But almost everything on here, like the rear frames, they press fit into the main frames. The bars back here press fit into, and then they're bolted together. It's very, very time consuming how long it, or how much work it goes into this. And then I also brought just some various parts that we have 3D printed. We bought a Elegoo Saturn resin printer.
I'm so sorry.
Aren't you glad you did this presentation?
Yeah. I'm gonna hold my tongue.
No,
No, I'm kidding.
his printer does things that my printer won't do. I will tell
Well,
you that right
and
now.
vice versa. Yours does things that this one won't do, as we're finding out. But some of these I don't even know if we're going to use, because this is some of the first stuff we've printed. But like, this is the cylinder saddle. I'm going to have to chuck this up on my mill and actually machine this and put more material there, because when you print it a certain way on these resin printers, you get deformities on one side. And so it's not perfect. And I've been having to hand
I can
file
help you with that.
all of this. What?
I can help you with that.
What's that?
Make it to where it's not gonna have the deformities.
And I was going to ask that. Unfortunately, today I don't have enough time, but
When the time is right.
right. Made some domes and smokestack, just some various parts we've been printing. And also 1/24th, it's half-inch scale. It's fine scale. It's very close to G gauge, not G scale, G gauge, and but it is not. And then these are the roller bearings that we will be using for the axles. I'm going to leave, I guess, all this up here for a little while. My brother and I have a funeral to attend in a few hours, so we're not going to be able to stay very long. So we'll be here through the break and then probably have to get out of here. But I'm open for questions. I'll hang out up here during the break if anybody wants to ask anything. Yes, sir.
Is this live steam or just?
No, it could be, but we run a battery power. But future projects.
So what's the difference between a resin 3D printer and a filament 3D printer?
So a filament 3D printer actually has a ribbon of plastic that goes into it. It has a heater that melts the plastic as it deposits in a specific orientation. A resin printer uses a laser or an LCD screen now. There's a vat of liquid, and UV light cures this liquid into a plastic. So a resin printer can get a little bit better on the detail, but the plastics that are out there right now aren't as strong as some of the plastics that are available for. Say that again?
See me after the meeting, I'll tell you which one.
Well, I've been playing around for a little bit with it, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to more information.
So you'll have this completed and ready for the next meeting for us to look at?
Well, the next meeting's a Christmas party, so I think that gives me a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I ought to have the wheels on by then.
We thought that was gonna be a Secret Santa kit.
Yeah. It's a little more than $25 in brass right here alone. I meant to bring some because I had printed extras. I forgot. We actually got a wax resin that we printed and have sent off some masters to be cast out of bronze for the wheels and for the cranks. It's an outside frame locomotive. And I've made some extra prints of the drivers, and they're sitting at my shop next to the printer, not here. So I wasn't able to bring them, but I should have those back from the caster next week. And so the next time I'm able to bring this, hopefully I'll have a running gear on it.
Very nice.
Getting the castings made.
There's a company called Hildebrand Designs in Maine. It was recommended to us by, I forget his name, another guy that does machining and stuff in the hobby.
There's one in Abilene too. There's a guy in Abilene.
He doesn't do that anymore.
Oh, he doesn't?
He doesn't?
Dennis Mashburn?
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard that name, but I didn't know.
Their foundry is closed down.
Okay. It's hard to find somebody that'll do it, and it's hard to find somebody that'll do small quantities too. Most people want to do thousands of things or 500-pound things. Most of them don't want to do an 1.5-inch wheel that's, weighs a few ounces. But
Very good.
Manufacturer prints for the locomotive, and then you're just rescaling the prints?
so this particular locomotive, I found a guy who had drawn the plans for 2.5-inch scale for a ride-on size. It was like $250 or something like that for the full set of plans, but he had every single part drawn out. so that you could build it in right on scale, every part you would need to make it work. So that's fortunate. Some of the things had been modified in size for the scale model. So I'm having to go back to pictures of the real thing and modify what I can and what I can't to be closer to the model or as to the prototype as opposed to the live steam model.
Is your general process to print something in on the printer, and then see if that works, and then mill it?
I've got a CAD program. I'll draw it in 3D and I'll put it together three-dimensionally in CAD, and then I'll make sure it works. Most stuff you can look at and be like, oh, that's going to work or it's not going to work. You know, you don't have to do all that. But if it's something that's got a lot of, it's going to have a chance of binding or, you know, interfering with something else. There you go. I'll actually throw it together, and I'm trying to create everything with enough tolerance so there's slop so that it doesn't bind. But until you get it together and actually try to run it around a layout, you don't know.
Are you gonna leave it grass or you can run it that way? Or you can paint?
Oh no, it'll be painted. We've built 2 locomotives before. We've done them differently. But this one is more. I've spent a lot more time machining it than the previous ones. Previous ones we had the parts laser cut or water jet cut, stuff like that, and just trued them up. It's hard to paint them when you're done building them because of all the work. It actually kind of hides some of the work that you've put into them, but they look better painted.
We would
And
like to
weathered.
see it before you paint.
Absolutely. I'll bring every month every time I'm able to come to the meetings, I'll bring the progress.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping to have it done for the convention, but
Cool. Thank you, Casey.
Nice
Good
job,
job.
Casey.
Good
yeah,
job.
thank you.
Barry, what did you bring?
Something real easy. I mentioned a few months back, I had some pieces of glass. There's 3 of them there. If you want one, take it.
I'll tell you, they work great.
What is it for? Just for doing modeling on and
Cutting
stuff?
surface, cutting surface.
Okay, yeah, I'll claim one. So,
Right.
Gary?
Can I share something real quick?
Sure.
I like to put a plug in for the layout design SIG and the op SIG, if you're not familiar with it. And I brought some magazines that you can look at. Please don't take them. They're available also online. These are from the op SIG and these are from the layout design SIG. Either one is relatively inexpensive to join. If you don't get the printed one, you can get it online. The dispatcher's office from the Ops SIG, if you join, I think it's $14 a year, and you get to access all their back copies, not so with the layout SIG. I'll put them here, and I just try to be an ambassador for them, and like to see as many people join as I can. The Ops SIG sponsors in this area one operations session a year. This last year was in Oklahoma. I think it was called the Indian Tour or something. Had a great time, 3
Indian
different
Nations.
layouts I operated on.
Yeah,
And,
Indian Nations.
So there's an advantage to joining either one. And I have some information here down at the bottom about those 2 SIGs. So please take one. And also, I'm going to do a presentation later on, and there's information here from that presentation.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
If you're not familiar with what Gary's referring to, and he's using the term SIG, that stands for Special Interest Group. And it's a subset, if you will, inside the NMRA of people who have an interest in X. So there's one for operations, which is the OPSIG, Operations Special Interest Group. The other one is the LDSIG, which is Layout Design Special Interest Group. There's Women in Model Railroading Special Interest Group, etc. So that's what he's talking about. And these groups are fully endorsed by the NMRA. And you can, it is an additional membership fee separate and apart from NMRA, but you don't have to be a member of a SIG to be a member of the NMRA, just to clarify.
I appreciate the using the definition. Oops.
Yeah, no
I should
problem.
know this.
Steve?
Yeah, is there a list of all the SIGs so you can?
On the NMRA website, I believe you can find all the SIG groups, yes. And I do not believe there's a photography SIG, but you're welcome to start one. All right? Yes, David?
I got a show and tell on.
Okay?
My brother and sister-in-law were in town last weekend, and they found this in an antique store.
That's
And
great.
bought it for me. In the year 2000, Lionel teamed up with Parker Brothers and came up with Lionel Monopoly.
You gotta love it.
And the board looks like a traditional Monopoly board, only, for example, instead of Boardwalk and Park Place, you have the Mint car and the Savings Bank car. And you've got the satellite car, the capsule car, you name it, it's here. All right. It plays like traditional Monopoly. Your game pieces, they have a GG1, Norfolk and Western J, a General, an F3, a Jeep 7, and a New York Central Hudson.
This is great, guys. Believe it or not, how old this is, and the money's never been opened. It's still original packaging.
The chance and community chest cards. They've got these. This one says Beacon stop rotating, pay $100 for repairs. I didn't open these. I didn't want to. This one says Crossing Gate, take a ride on the hand car. If you pass go, collect $200. And it's just traditional Monopoly stuff. These are the cars. Everybody here has played Monopoly. They've got the cars. They still have the traditional houses and hotels. There are a whole mess of these on eBay, $45, $50. It'd make a great Christmas gift for your grandkids. If they even
or at a Christmas party.
Except that's more than $25.
That's fine.
Okay.
You can spend more than 25. It's just 25 minimum.
If
It's all
your
good.
grandkids even know what Monopoly is.
Yeah.
If not, you can show them. But I got such a kick out of this when they gave it to me. So
That's great.
So my brother says to me, "You want to play it while we're here?" I said, "What are you, crazy? I'm not going to take these out of the packages." It's like action figures. You take them out of a box, you ruin the value. Same kind of thing. This is the instructions. It's all set up like Lionel, and they talk about the spaces they got the giraffe car, the rodeo car, the capsule car, the satellite car, all the things that you stop on with your game pieces. Anyway, it's you can find them on eBay, and I thought it was great that they got this for me.
That's fantastic. Good job. Good job. Yes, sir. Barry.
You're finding Monopoly in just about anything.
Yeah.
Last year for Christmas, we got our grandkids Benbrook-opoly.
Benbrook-opoly, that's great.
It's got
all the stuff about Benbrook.
What
Yeah.
few things there are, it's got
Yeah.
them on the board.
So fun fact, okay, as you know, during World War II, prisoners of war were serviced by the Red Cross. But one of the things that the United States military did was supply Monopoly games to the Red Cross for distribution to their prisoners of war. What the Germans didn't know was in the card deck were instructions and things on what was going on and how to get out if you were to escape the prisoner of war camp. And they were putting those inside the Monopoly games because when the prisoners were playing Monopoly, they're just playing the game and the guards wouldn't have any second clue as to that's how they were being fed information. So little fun fact for you for today.
There was a whole division, U.S. Army,
That did that kind of stuff.
doing that stuff, so everything that went to the Red Cross.
Yep. Yep. It's just like what he said was there's a whole division in the U.S. Army that was feeding that kind of stuff to the Red Cross. So fun fact. All right, let's take a short 5-minute break. It's 10:49. We'll give Gary time to get set up and everything. 5-minute break. We'll come back at 10:54. Gentlemen, I have got to have surgery on my rotator cuffs. Both of them are torn. I think that I did it by picking up grandchildren. So I have got to go home and take some medication, which I did not take before I started the meeting. It's been fun. It's been great. I'm glad to have been your director. Thanks for voting for me all these years.
Hi, I hope I can help you, whether you have a layout or planning a layout, or you operate on a layout, to give you some ideas with planning, or to make your layout more user-friendly if you currently have a layout. And for me, what I'd like to share is my dream and how I tried to make it come to reality more than once. It's taken, I'm on my third try. I'll get it there eventually. I modeled Southern Pacific in 1926, the Gerber subdivision, which ran from Gerber, California, up to Dunsmuir, California. And I chose 1926 partially because I'm in love with steam, and also at the time I lived in Northern California, and it offered a lot of things that I was interested in. I did a lot of research over the years, probably 30 years of research, and the Shasta Division book by John Signer really whetted my appetite, but I gathered all the materials that I could. And anytime you're going to do a layout, it's good to, whether if you're doing a prototype or just freelancing, research the real thing and see what the railroads were really doing. And you probably can't go wrong if you do that. And there's something called a layout design element. And I didn't know, or an LDE, layout design element. And I was using them before I knew what they were. And Tony Thompson, to make sure I get it right, in his latest book, he says, in his book, Time-Saving Techniques for Model Railroads, Tony states that LDEs, the basic idea is that we can choose the best candidates from among those found along a division of a given railroad, string those end to end geographically in order, and connect those segments with the main line, and be reasonably certain that the resulting track plan will look and operate like the prototype. And I did that and didn't know what I was doing, man. Thank goodness it has a name. This is the first layout that I tried to build. I did it, and you're cutting off part of the text there. Part of the text is missing.
Let me get that.
My first layout that I tried had 4 different levels. The bottom level was in staging. It was in a 28 by 24 foot garage. I have a bad back, and some of my friends that have strong backs but weak minds came over and helped me dig an underpass under it. And so we went 4 feet down and made a U and came back up. And I built my own house. Gary, why'd you put so much rebar in there? Well, I didn't know I was going to put a railroad in there. So before we moved to Texas, one of the things I had to do was fill in the pit. So because no one wanted to buy a garage, I had a heater service person come and look. He says, "Is that a vertical jacuzzi?" So anyway, there were several things wrong with this railroad. First, it had 8 loop helix, 30-inch radius and 32-inch radius, and I found my large steam locomotives wouldn't operate on that. Also, I didn't like having one layer over the other. Back then, everyone was coving everything, so I even coved the corners, put a basketball and made a mold out of it, and I spent a lot of time doing that. And so I got started on it. Never got past putting 400 feet of track in the staging area, and I had the bench work for all 4 levels built, but that was about it. I had 22 handling switches down in the staging area. So and I designed it all using CAD Rail, which is a computer-aided design product that's available for model railroading. I like using CAD because it allows you to do so many different things, and you'll see in the presentation that I've used it quite a few times. So in 2004, someone said, "Hey, Gary, I need to build a place to store our furniture. We lost our home, and I had 10 acres." And I said, so I said, "I've got a place." And they came out and looked. They said, "Oh, it slopes off and there's trees all over." I said, "Come back next week." It's December. I got out the backhoe. I dug out the trees, just knocked them over, leveled the place. January, we poured a pad for a 24 by 60 foot room. And our agreement was they could live in it for 7 years. And after that, it became my railroad. They moved after 3 years. So I took out all the windows and designed a layout to go in there. And I decided I wanted a 40-inch minimum radius and at least 30 inches for the walkways. Number 6 switches, number 8's coming off the main, and I wanted at least 10-foot sidings. And so I decided to model the Gerber yard, which is subdivision point, rather than the previous model was north of Gerber and up to Weed. There wasn't as much going on as up in the mountains, where Gerber, there's several towns that I could model and have more industry. A friend of mine, Dallas Gilbertson, who's passed away now, was a conductor for the Santa Maria Valley Railroad. We operated on it every Friday night for probably 20 years. And so we got handwritten switch list, and I decided I wanted to have a lot of local switching on my layout. And also I wanted to be DCC with no buses.
What is that?
And at the time,
Gary?
yes, sir.
What's DCC with no buses?
Pardon?
How do you operate DCC with no bus?
Easy DCC, you don't need a bus going around, and that's one of the reasons I got it to begin with. So everything is, there's a receiver and there's a transmitter, and you don't need any bus going around. If you're talking about a bus that's dead-ended or sockets that you plug in, you don't need any sockets. Okay.
You're not talking about power bus for
No,
the track?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
Thank you.
You do need power.
Yeah.
And,
I was going,
I wired it with number 12 gauge wire.
What you're telling me is you don't have plugins, it's all wired.
Yeah. Maybe I'll clean that up and see what they call that. The Digitrax uses that you plug in.
Yeah.
So I use Sanborn maps as I did more research. Their fire maps are available. I don't know how far. I think they pretty much by the 50s, not in use so much anymore. The great thing about them, not only do they show where the railroad goes through the town, but it lists all the industries in that town. And also, as you look at it, it tells you the size of the footprint of the industry, and a lot of times what it's made out of. I found that a lot of what I'm modeling, there are no pictures available, but I know the material, I know the type of industry, and I know the physical size. So I'm building something representative for that.
Gary,
Yes, sir.
Library of Congress has a lot of Sanborn maps. They also have available on the Library of Congress website a key to the Sanborn maps, all the little insignias and what they mean.
Right, and if you model a particular area, often if you go to the building department, they'll have them available for you to look at for your locale or local universities. Or you can search online. I was lucky, I happened to find a mining company that had made all the Sanborn maps available and their password. And I downloaded like crazy for everything I needed.
I'm gonna be
And I had
contacting you.
downloaded all the adjacent states to get a list of all the companies that I could ship products to. So I have them even for New York. So that was really helpful. One of the things I did is made a list of all the towns that I could model and what industry was in each town. Also, as I did research, I was able to find out more information, like for Reading, that over here, oh, I don't do that. Oops, press the wrong button too. That's good. Over here, I found that the local freights tie up at night, 2 40-car trains coming toward each other, and they tie up for the evening until the next morning. And I found out more about the equipment that they have, and so I started just digitizing the information I had on the industries. I also visited the archives, the Southern Pacific Archives in Dunsmuir, and they were kind enough to let me go through all their blueprints and take them back to Chico with me. I took them to an engineering office and had them make copies. One of the Gerber yard, that blueprint was 24 feet long. But it's another way, if you have access to one of the engineering departments or to a historical group, a lot of that information can really help you when you build a layout. So I started doodling, and I thought the previous layout that was 4 levels high, I was going to fit it into 1 or 2 levels. Joe Fugate lived up in Oregon, about 4 hours from me, and I visited several times before he became a publisher, and he had a mushroom layout, and I decided a mushroom layout was the way to go. But I kept taking weed and moving things around from the CAD drawing previously, and it's nice I could just take individual sections and move them, and would this fit or would this fit? And I did some hand drawing, and when you look at that, you look at the silly curves, how tight they are. This is where CAD comes in. You don't make mistakes like that. You can get the curve the size you want and make sure things are going to fit. Yes?
Why don't you explain what a mushroom layout is?
Beg your pardon?
Why don't you explain what a mushroom layout is to people?
A mushroom layout is where you're here looking at one level and there's a raised floor, and above, instead of looking here, you're on a raised floor looking this way at the other level. So it's not one level above the other where you're looking at the 2 levels. Oh, I got to be here or be here. I'll show you an example of what I finally built for that. So using RailCAD, I made dozens of drawings and tried to make different towns fit, and what do I want in there. And as I started designing, I would put just general dimensions for each town, and well, what will fit in what order, and just kept playing more and more with it. I also hand drew from the research that I had the different towns, because sometimes you'd have 4 or 5 different pieces of information. So I just started drawing what they would look like. Gerber had a big yard with an engine house here for Malley locomotives, and that Y, there's no way I could fit that in. That would fill up an entire room. There's a modeler just north of me that did model it, and it did take up an entire room. His was O-scale, but it was big. So here is an example of a Southern Pacific engineering drawing of Cottonwood, California. And so that would be considered a layout design element. And you can take that and design your town reasonably modeled after what was actually there. I did have to move the stockyard, that's in yellow, a little bit to the west to make it fit in the area that I had. But all the other industries are what was actually there in 1926. I switched from using CAD-Rail to Third Planet because at the time they offered a three-dimensional drawing. Oh, this is great. I can add this scenery and this and this and that. And it's another hobby. I don't have time for that.
That's another hobby, believe me.
Yes, but what they did have, and they still have, and I maybe shouldn't say this, they still have, probably for limited time, the fellow's getting ready to retire. But they do have is a track library for every single manufacturer. So if you design it and you use an Atlas switch, you can access the track library for the Atlas switches. I used Fast Tracks this last time. There's a library for Fast Tracks. So it's a great program for designing.
You can also, Gary, alter his turnouts and things like that and save them as a separate file and then pull them back in and use them later.
Right.
Third Planet's a great program. If you don't want scenery, you can design your railroad. You got the tracks there. You can put trains on it and run it in basically thin air with all the elevation changes and things like that.
And something else you can do, which I didn't do, is you can actually run trains on it and see how things would work and switch things around. So I started playing with, okay, here's the room that I have. What can I do with the room? And it had a bathroom that was larger, and I downsized it. And I thought, okay, what process can I go through to get the things in? So this was Gerber, the subdivision, and it came around in a little town here, Roberta, Red Bluff, and I ended up building that. And over here I had 4 staging tracks. We operated on that for about 2 years, and I didn't know what I was going to do here. I had no idea, except I knew I could kind of fit something in here, but I'm not sure what was going to go and how I was going to do it. I did some more planning and probably added additional towns. Here is Cottonwood that you saw, and there was an interchange here for the California Shasta and Eastern Railroad. And here is Reading, and then it goes around, and oh, I don't know what I'm doing still, but I know it's going to climb. This would be the Sacramento River Canyon. It was about 45 feet long. So I had a 2.35% grade going through there, and I could climb to the next level. When asking what a mushroom layout is, this had just an 8-foot ceiling, so you can do one with an 8-foot ceiling, and this was the bottom level. It had a 20-foot raised floor, and here's the upper level. So that's how a mushroom works. And this was a linear diagram here. The blue represents the framing design. I do all my design work with CAD, the lighting, the electrical, the heating, everything. You can turn on and off the different layers, and that's really beneficial. Also, with this particular layout, I printed everything out full size on the double sheets of paper. They 8.5 by 22, I guess, and I had a printer that would do that. And I taped them all together, almost an entire ream of paper. But and then I built the layout that way. So here I am working on the paper that's down on the floor and putting the section together. I built the layout by myself with no help other than, hey, honey, I need help. Would you hold this section up? This is actually a part that attaches to the ceiling. And she'd come out and hold one side up. I'd put the other side up and put the drill it into the ceiling joist. And the nice thing about having a CAD drawing full size, I only ended up having to move 3 joists when I built the layout. The joists are all screwed in from the top, not the traditional way of coming up through the bottom, because I don't have to move them, because I know what I'm doing. And so it really helped to have the CAD drawing.
Did you rip down plywood for your 1x4s or 1x3s or?
Yeah, I used 1x3s, I guess, on that particular layout, topped by 3/4 inch plywood, a lot better plywood than you can get today. And then I topped it with Homosote and glued the Homosote down. The white patches there are where I had screws holding it down. Then I removed the screws and patched it so things were smooth. And the same with the seam. To transfer the plan, I used a pounce wheel and just go across it on the Homosote, and it leaves a dotted line wherever you go. And I cut a little X wherever the switch points were, and I marked that point with a black marker on the layout. The bottom picture is the power supplies that I use for 220 tortoises.
220.
I built 220 switches. At the time, Fast Tracks didn't offer tie strips, so I used Central Valley Model Works tie strips. And again, copying from Joe Fugate, I made my own jig. That's not exactly the way he did it, but it worked, and I made the switches myself. I found it was better to make them in groups of 3 or 4 if I could, that things were much smoother that way. Also, I made some tools for aligning the tortoise from up underneath once I drilled the hole. And to control the switches, I used a slide switch, push it toward the wall, the points go toward the wall, pull it this way, and they come toward you. I made bezels for the layout out of 1-inch couplings. And this was the jig. I put LEDs in. My crew said, we don't want LEDs on the main, so we can tell when it's aligned for the main and it's not. So that was a jig for centering the LEDs. Here's a quick look at what I had in 2018. It's not the entire layout, but it's different sections. Most of it had all been ballasted. And I enjoy doing buildings, so I was getting a lot of buildings done. The Reed Creek trestle here, that's the actual trestle. I had the engineering drawings for that, so that's my model. The approaches on each side is 100 feet short, but the bridge is to scale. And this was going up the Sacramento River Canyon, and I had a lot of resin rock work there, and that took me most of the summer to do the resin rock work. Oh, I had 2 staging loops, one at each end, and had videos where you could watch and yes. That's the upper staging loop. There were 5 staging tracks at the upper loop, and the bottom loop had 7 tracks. For operations, I had a crew normally of 8 people, and I had as many as 30 show up, and I can have 16 operators at a time. Use Fast Co-op. I used a 4-to-1 ratio. We're still just getting into TNTO, but we really didn't fully implement it because we ran out of time. I'll explain why in a couple of minutes. I did put in a phone system. The dispatcher can call each town location, and when he pushes the button there, a light latches on and stays on until someone picks up the phone and answers it. That was an 8-party line. I tried to make the layout friendly by putting information on both the fascia and on the valence to help operators. This is an example near one of the stations. You can see the LEDs that I talked about showing the alignment. The clipboard, there's a half clip, small clipboard, so I used a half sheet of paper instead of a whole sheet of paper to print out switch list, drink holder. I made the holders for the clipboards out of strip wood, and just made a long section and just zip, 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 and made them the width of the clipboard. Here's a sample. I used JMI Ops to generate the switch list. Dan Folks worked with me to help me get his program to print on a half sheet of paper because it wasn't doing that. I don't think he offers that yet, but it's something that he helped me design for this, and it worked well. And I put additional comments on what you should do at the end of your session, like it tells you what to do with your locomotive as far as surfaces. And it tells you where to take water. And it's worked out great for me. We did it in real time. People would finish a train and need another train. So I would go over, usually I was the dispatcher. So I would go over and generate it. And okay, here's your next job. I found a lot of documentation that was useful and fun to read, that you learn more about the railroad and how your area operated. One of the fun things down at the bottom, they said don't unload the lumber at the team track because they were stacking the lumber for various people to pick it up, and instead let us stack it down at the very end of the track. That way other people can use the team track. So, on the fascia, I had diagrams showing what's to the east, what's to the west. The black dot represents where you currently are. The whistle signals are over there. And also at the end of each town site, most of the town sites were 15 to 40 feet long. So at the end, there'd be a diagram showing you which is east, which is west, and which is the next town. Whoops. This would be a diagram that I had up on the valence and shows all the industries where they're located. And I was just starting building buildings. So on the homicide, I had drawn the building and labeled it, what would be there in the future. This is 2018, the Magalia Depot on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side is what it looked like after November 18th, 2018. The Camp Fire destroyed most of the area that I lived in. 18,000 homes burned, 84 people died. It got to within 3/4 of a mile of our house. A lot of smoke damage to our house. We were out for 2 months before they allowed us back in. Most of my operators moved. My son and daughter lost their homes. All their friends moved. We decided it was time to move too. We didn't like driving through burned out areas. So here we are, Texans. By the way, my mother was born in Wellington, Texas, Texas farm girl. So I'm returning to my roots. So, okay, started designing. Well, started trying to decide, what can I do with the layout now? And I put so much effort in it, and the rectangles are where I thought I could save these parts. Not really. Then I tried taking the track up, but I had already ballasted the track. That doesn't work too well either. So everything went to the dump. The whole layout. The only thing I kept the buildings and the equipment. So I started designing a new layout. First of all, my wife says I have to have a large sewing room. So, okay. So here's my first design with her sewing room and an outbuilding. I don't want to be in an outbuilding. So, okay, more searches for homes, and finally we found one near Azle that had a large enough room to make her happy, that is her sewing empire. So she's happy, and she supports me wholly. I'm 77 now, and she's just said, okay, you can do trains until the day you die. I'll take care of it. You guys will find out. She'll offer you all the equipment at a good price. So it's something I love doing, and I plan on doing it. So starting over now, the current plan met the switching of local freights. That was good. What can I accomplish in my lifetime? I wanted a smaller footprint, decided I'm not going to do a mushroom this time, but basically I wanted to keep the same layout that I had before for the lower towns, because I knew that worked. But rather than a 40-inch radius, I wanted a cheaper building, so I went with a 36-inch radius, trying to figure out what would fit in there. And I added an extra arrival departure track that wasn't prototypical, because the yard had a lot more traffic than it was prototypical. So sometimes you have to cheat on the prototype. I like the yard ways at both ends, and instead of having return loops, this time it has run-through staging. So I started weighing, okay, what can I fit? I don't have a building yet, so here's where CAD comes in. I had the previous plan with CAD from Third Planet. I was able to start taking elements of it and try to put them in. So that was in June. July, okay, here's some other things. The circles represent a 36-inch radius, and how can I arrange it? So here's what I came up with. The framework is shown. Originally a 12-track staging area there. I reduced it to 10 tracks. There's a duck under on the far side as you enter. I don't want to lift out. The layout's going to be 52 inches high, so it's not too difficult to get under. Also, if you have a rolling chair, which I'll leave there, people can use the rolling chair to get in if they prefer. And this is the final plan. And over here, once the staging track operates flawlessly, I plan on having a mining area on top and 2 access areas just in case I need to get into that. But other than that, it's all one level, and the track plans over here also. You can use CAD for a lot of other things. I use it to design the tank house, that's typical of California farms, or a trestle, or the building down here was something I designed from scratch.
Gary, you call that a tank house on top?
Yeah, a tank house. Up at the top, very top, the windmill pumps the water up into a large tank up in the top part, and that provides the water pressure for your house. So, and that's most.
House is underneath?
Pardon?
The house is underneath there?
I'm sorry.
The bottom parts?
Oh, the bottom part is empty.
Okay.
So pipe goes up to the top part. So
I'm just confirming,
use the bottom part for storage.
Part.
And you can also use it to design real things. I designed my deck from my previous house and then built it using CAD. So there's a lot of uses for CAD if you buy the program. It's not just, okay, I've designed my model railroad, now what do I do? So speeding along, I had used the Smith Valley Model Works tie strips. Decided this time I'll use fast tracks and actually buy their laser cut ties. I had enough ties to lay my own, but I decided no, I'll sell those and use theirs just because of the time element. I've currently built all the switches I need for the layout, except for 2 3-way switches that still need to be built that I don't have jigs for. I've made 2 that work. I made a 3rd one that doesn't, and I've fiddled with it for 2 days and decided I'm just gonna start over. So I still have 2 more to build. When you look at Fast Tracks, I did a breakdown of what it would cost just to make one switch if you already own the jigs. And if you put it on your own ties, $3.81 a switch. If you use their quick sticks, they're laser cut, they're fairly expensive. They're still only at $10. Now, I've had I had the point form jig, which is used for shaping the points, and then the frog helper, which allows you to solder the points accurately. And I already had those 2 items. But if you were to buy them at today's prices, this is the amount of money that I spent for jigs to build number 5s, 6s, and number 8 switches. And still it's cost me about $11 a switch, including the pre-made laser cut quick sticks. So for me, it was cheaper to do it that way. I also had a lot of code 55 switches on my previous layout. I found I can use the Fast Track jigs to make code 55 rather than buying a separate jig from, as long as you use an NMRA gauge and make sure everything's gauged correctly. For lighting, I'm going to use LEDs. Actually, I'm using LEDs this morning. I just finished fitting up the last strip of LEDs. So, and I measured the lighting back here, and it's around 200 lux. I'm getting 500 lux, and I still haven't painted the back of my valence white. So I think that'll provide plenty of light. That is the only light in the layout room. Originally, I thought I'll take photographs of the area and put them together and put those on the back wall. And my brother was going to print them for me, full size. And I decided I can paint faster than I can manipulate the photos, even though photography is my other hobby. So he's printed out all this for me to look at, to paint, to kind of get it accurate. So I enjoy painting, so I decided that's faster. Here's what I'd like to accomplish. Here's what I had before. And basically this part is now missing. And here's the layout with the 8 towns that I have. It took me 6 years to build this without any help. This I hope to build, I hope to have trains running by next August. The Gerber subdivision goes from Gerber, California, up to Dunsmuir. This was the previous layout this was the previous layout went from Gerber up to Reading, and then continued from Reading up to Dunsmuir was in staging. Everything in red is a branch line, and green were towns that were actually modeled. Same thing here, the green's actually modeled. This was a branch line. What I'm modeling now is just what's here in the center section. And this branch line is just going to be over into staging rather than an actual branch line. The other layout had a 150-foot long branch line with lumber area, and another branch line with logging. It was about 80 feet long. Now, that's what I'm doing. I hope this helps you get some ideas what you can use for your layout. And if you do nothing, expect nothing as a result. And just to show you, you can use an LDE, a layout design element, to build something. This is Jane Renna's new layout, and he's using LDEs, and that's his entire layout right there, but it's based on the prototype. So if you're designing a layout, consider doing that. Any questions? I've bored you to death. You've all gone to sleep. Well, I do have something else. Hold it, there's more. Man. This is not for the convention. This is a secret look. This is, the building was built in January. In February, the insulation, the heating was done, and here's why I added more. While I was waiting for the building to be built, I built all the switches. I have them ready to go. This was the last week of October. My slow as molasses contractor finally finished the sheet rocking. Why it took him 10 months is beyond me. I built my own house in 3 months. So I don't know. So the last week of October, I got in there, coved it, painted the sky and underneath. And then my brother flew out from California on Tuesday. This week, we put in all the framework we need for the valances. And here we're putting up the valances. This morning, I finished putting up all the LED lights before I came here. And he's wiring right now as we speak. As soon as I get home, we're cutting up 3/4 inch plywood for the joist. And you notice all the paper on the floor? What do you think that is?
Full-size print.
Yep, full-size prints of the layout. Each roll of paper is 45 feet long, and it's all laid out. So I'm going to build the same way, build right on the paper, and then I'm gonna set it to the side, roll the paper up, and then lift it back over, fasten it in place, and then I'm all set. I have that roll, and each set of switches that I've made, they're all numbered, and so I know exactly where they go, and I'm off and running. I hope to have the framework done within the next couple of weeks for the entire layout.
Why did you start with the balance?
Beg your pardon?
Why did you start with the balance?
Because I don't like having to reach around the layout that's already there. So I try to do all the room prep that I can ahead of time. And because I've been there doing it the other way, and that's not a lot of fun. So I'd rather have the room prepped and ready, and it's all pre-wired. I knew what I wanted put in the ceiling. There's some wires hanging down here. That's for the receivers. And I did all that design work ahead of time in CAD, so I knew what to put where. And then we hung the valance. It's a metal building, so it was what to do to hang that valance, and ended up using 1/4 inch all thread with L brackets, and then 3x5 or 3x5 inch brackets on the bottom to support that. So I'm excited to get going. And then my daughter was here 3 weeks ago, and I've been bugging her. She's a graphic designer in Seattle, and I've been bugging her, hey, honey, I'd like to have a website of my own. Found out it's a whole new hobby. But I do have a website now. It's not finished. I'm still working on it. Someone looked at it and said, it's all in Spanish. No, that's Latin, and it's a fill-in for the areas that are done. But if you look at the website, it's southernpacificlayout.com. If you look at, there's a lot of pictures of the previous layout, and I'll have a lot of construction pictures of the previous layout that I'll add that I haven't done yet. And there's a place I'll be having a blog. If you look at it, just realize it's in the process of being built, and maybe check it once a month or something to see what progress I've made. It's also a shared website. It loads a little slow. So if you look at it, what you might do if you're using a computer, bring it up, go do something for 5 minutes, read your email, then come back and the whole thing will be loaded. So she's researching. The website was cheap. It was 3 years for $90. So the price was right. I'm a little cheap. Anyway, so that's my dream, and I hope to turn it into reality. And I hope I haven't bored you to death.
Very good.
If you didn't get a handout, there's handouts here about different CAD programs. Just a quick note on the CAD program. I looked back at CAD Rail because I used that before. It's not very robust at all. Third Planet is, but if you plan on using Third Planet, I would buy it before December 31st because I didn't tell you this. I don't know, that's supposed to be public knowledge, I just happen to know the developer. Anyway, thank you, appreciate that.
Thanks, Gary. We'll set up some tables and chairs. What I have thinking about is two rows of tables going down this way. So if you just kind of move the chairs off to the sides, there's some tables over here on the left side of the room and a long table over here. We've got some